Gonna take a drink of tea real quick. Being that it's so late, the lack of students around probably helps. The odd one or two can be seen scurrying to and from the dorms trying to eke the most out of their approaching curfews, but no more. All that can be heard is our footsteps, in addition to Lily's cane regularly, gently tapping the ground in front of her. It's nice to finally be able to relax a bit after the mad rush during school. Without even noticing it, I let out a small yawn. Tired? Yeah, still getting used to the flow of things, I guess. The, thing with Shizune took me kind of off guard, though. I grit my teeth a little at the candid mention of their rather public spat. That said, I do want to sort out what in the world was behind it. About that. I'm sorry about it being so public. Shizune and I go back some ways. Her voice seemed slightly irritated as she remembers Shizune, obviously unwilling to discuss it any further. I glanced to Hanako for her views on this, but her expression is unsurprisingly evasive and difficult to read. Either way, I guess her apologizing for it is something, even if my curiosity goes unanswered. I'll be glad once the festival is over in any case. The change of topics welcome, clearing the thickening air quickly. I can imagine. My old school's festivals were a lot more low-key than this. Yamaku stresses the idea of a school community, so the staff like to make our festivals and such special occasions. And yet, the students are the ones who do the work. What an unfair world. Hanako and Lily both chuckle in agreement, savoring the fact that none of the staff are around to hear our grumbling. I suppose coming from a strict all-girls school helped me a bit with Yamaku. Compared to there, Yamaku is much more relaxed. That'd go away towards explaining her well-bred speech and behavior in any case. As we come up to the dormitories, it eventually comes time to leave for our respective rooms. See you, Lily, Hanako. The two both give polite nods before setting off to the women's dorms, just next to the guys. As is to be expected of such an arrangement, there's a staff member casually patrolling around outside to prevent any nighttime shenanigans. Walking past him, I quickly stretch my arms and rub my neck, both quite sore after having worked on the floor for so long, before walking to my room. It feels good to actually have discretion, though after so long in the hospital, the everyday facts of studying, homework, and teachers seem almost a blessing. I guess if things continue like this, my time at Yamaku might turn out okay. I'm feeling tired, so I set my alarm clock to wake me up as late as I can afford while still making it to the first class. The nurse's voice is almost nagging in the back of my head about morning jogs. I make a resolution to make up for it by going for a walk after school tomorrow. And he won't care either way, I bet. Transition! I actually like the little transition screens. I wake up and take a hot shower. Back in my room, the first thing I see is the familiar row of medication bottles lined up on top of my dresser, and it makes me depressed as usual. It's annoying. I thought I was okay. I thought I had made my peace with this thing, gotten over it. But what I really did, I allowed myself to forget that I have a problem. Being here really reminds me of the reality, and trying to fight against it just hurts. Reflecting on it is only good to do so much. I've done this before, for months. It seems like it's time to get over it. If I allow myself to forget that my life is definitely not going to be as long as those of others, I won't get anywhere. My life may be different from others, but it is a life in progress. That is how I'll rationalize it. I down the usual handful of pills trying to push the sudden dreary feeling out of my head. Then I prepare to head out to class early as usual. As I step into the hallway, I notice Kiji coming around the hallway corner, stealthily making his way over to his own room with a large bag. As he sneaks past me soundlessly like a ninja hiding in plain sight, I call out to him, "Hey." He jumps at the sound of my voice. "Oh, hey man, I didn't notice you there. I'm really tired." I think it's more like he didn't see me, but that's not the issue. Where have you been this early? Shopping? Nah, I wasn't shopping. Sometimes I have to visit The math teacher. Yeah, I figured it would be a good idea to find out when the next exam is, since she tells you in advance if you want. So then, what's in the bag? I thought I'd go shopping while I was outside. I need supplies to continue the fight against the vast feminist conspiracy. Ah, okay. I thought you didn't go outside. I wear a hat now. I decide to not point out that he is not wearing a hat. An awkward silence settles between us, and then Kenji breaks it by pushing his door slowly open, releasing a creaking sound into the air that only makes the moment seem more awkward. He sets the bag down inside the room and then closes the door. I'm surprised you went out of your way to find out a test date. Trying to take advantage of an opportunity to study is very diligent. I never study. Oh. I just wanted to know when the next test day was. I'm still going to take it, duh. I need to know so I know what day I can't afford to skip class. He usually sends out updates on that crap by phone, so I had to step out and check on it. And why do you have to go out when you can just get it on your phone? I don't carry a phone. What do you mean you don't carry a phone? You mean you just leave it at home? Nah, I don't use phones. I don't have a phone. Phones. I have no phone. Why don't you have a phone? How can you not have a phone? No phone at all? No phone? I just don't like phones. Actually, I'm kind of scared of them. I don't know why. I think it's some kind of repressed trauma. But basically, when I hear a phone, I get nervous. It's my darkest secret. I have two theories on it. Either I have some fear of receiving some undefined, anonymous, life-altering doom call, or I was beaten with a phone in the past. Beaten so badly I can't remember it. Beaten in the head. Well, where else would I get beaten with a phone that would make me unable to remember it? The ass? Unexpectedly logical. I feel very depressed now, sensing this conversation is more or less over. Kenji opens his door again and prepares to head inside. Yeah, I'm going to sleep, dude. Have a good one. Class is going to start in like 20 minutes. I already did something today. Too tired to go to school. Hey, you need some lip balm? I accidentally bought 2 because I thought the store had started selling individual AA batteries. Thanks, but no thanks. Whatever, man. He swiftly enters his lair, finally letting me go to the class. For a change, I'm not among the first ones to come to morning class. Instead, almost everyone who seems to be here already. I recognize most of my class by their faces now, though the names escape me still. Yeah, that's because you haven't talked to any of them. The class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school. I have even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overly attentive. The first few days I was pretty high-strung in class. Muto finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues without a pause about the festival. So, as you know, the festival is on the day after tomorrow. I hope everyone's projects are going to be successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday, please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds. Games and fried food! Everyone bursts out in laughter, and so do I. Yes, thank you, Mikado. But what I meant was, the remainder of his sentence is buried beneath the ring of the school bells, and everyone starts packing their things. Muto deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. It's crowded in the hallway, or as crowded as hallways in this school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down for the cafeteria. Hisao! I'm going to make you a one-time only super extra special lunch offer. Amy's homemade lunch boxes, and the privilege of enjoying them in private with 2 bombshell beauties. Her overly flirtatious sale pitch echoes in the hallway, a remarkable feat since it's full of people. Amy strikes a very confident-looking pose as an attempt to one-up her own ridiculousness, puffing her very modest chest and making the V for victory sign with her hand. Sounds delicious. To what do I owe this honor of being invited? You stood there looking really lost and sad, so I thought you could use some company. I fucked that up. That is probably the most depressing reason imaginable. I'm bad at this. So, how about it? You're probably really lonely and would eat that awful cafeteria food all alone otherwise. I'm kidding. Sure, I'll have your lunch offer with pleasure. Let's go to the roof. The roof? Why the roof? Because that's where we eat lunch. And if I don't get up there, then she'll probably wander off, and then I just know she'll go hungry, because she never packs a lunch for herself. Who will? Come with me. Without answering my questions or waiting for a response, she grabs me by the arm and drags me through the hallways. I attempt to make conversation on the way. Why do you have an extra lunch? Amy smiles guiltily. Actually, it's yesterday's lunch. I slipped in a run at lunch and forgot to eat it. Huh. The stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Probably Kenji. Amy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere. Standing imposingly in front of us, Amy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs. Who's that Pokemon? Eek! Hello. Yipes! You scared me, Rin. It's a wild Renamon! Wait, she isn't. Hello. Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Amy looks curiously at me. You two know each other? I look confusedly at Amy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze towards the clouds, drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Amy. The awkward silence lasts only a few seconds until Amy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off. I invited Hisao for lunch. If you know him, that's just better. Oh, does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch? Neither. I have food for 3. Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a little... stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. I figured that would a red stare. I need to pay more attention to what I read. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools. A few rundown benches and tables are scattered around the edges. Perhaps it is an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. The small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. I peek through the chain-link fence to take a look at the school grounds and beyond. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle and at the cafeteria. A few delivery trucks are driving past the school towards the convenience store nearby. Somewhere a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow when I look towards the town center, the small town feels strikes me very strongly, almost palpably. Bleh. I don't like trying to read words I don't know. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolises seems so far away and foreign here. Nobody has to run to catch a bus like their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by the neon lights and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine, looking at my new hometown, even if it's going to be mine for only one short year. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly, I haven't had time to think about how I feel about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear, cerulean sky. A cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Amy settles on a bench with Rin in tow and produces 1 big and 2 small lunch boxes from her bag. Come on, Hisao, what are you waiting for? She is beckoning me to join them, making room on the nearby bench. I see myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all 3 of us fit on it. Impressive view. Amy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin and hands another lunchbox to me. Here you go, lunch is promised. Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good. Thanks, I made them myself when I can. Make them. Conversation dies off as I set about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a forkful of food into her mouth using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I am in right now. A Will I ever get used to such sights as this? I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good or bad thing, either. Does getting used to this place mean I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or does it mean that I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Amy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. "You have insulted my family! You die now!" You seem pretty hungry. Amy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding. My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because then I burn through lunch pretty quickly. Helps me keep my girlish figure. What would happen if you lose it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch trying not to laugh. It's a figure of speech. Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like this? Talk like what? Like what? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I struggle to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How'd you two meet? Ren seems content to let Amy answer this question. Someone in the housing department thought that we'd complement each other well, so we were assigned rooms next to one another. Complement each other? Like shoes and a suit. Huh? Amy giggles at my confusion. Put us together and we've got all our limbs. Get it? Ah. So I started helping Ren get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along. I see. Ren chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of. This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That combined with the fact that Ren is genuinely curious, makes me feel slightly better and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms, so putting on a shirt seems like one of the things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm going to just stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Ren nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. The conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Amy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise. Ah, that was good. As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Ren speaks up. I'm thirsty. Oh, I almost forgot about that. Sorry. With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Ren that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with a pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. Hey Ren, mine. Can I have that milk? I'll trade you. You want some cranberry juice? Ren dexterously stabs the straw through the top of her box and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is, but this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow I don't think either Amy or Ren are the sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Ren especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure. So Hisao, how do you like it up here? It's quite nice, actually. I like high places, for the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Amy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose. No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time, too. I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here. No lunch service? I don't know. Amy looks mock offended. Trying to take advantage of my good nature? The nerve. She giggles. Well, if that's your answer, I guess Ren and I will just keep eating lunch all alone. I'm suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen as Amy pouts. Kidding! I was just kidding! I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location and the company's okay too. Amy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess this makes us friends now, or at least acquaintances. The lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs. Ren, you didn't finish your lunch again. I wasn't that hungry. If you don't eat more, you're going to fade away. Ren shrugs, as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we'd better get going. The three of us head down the stairs together.